also have to listen to Brewers baseball on the Brewers Radio Network. Presented by Sorgy Sword.
If we had that kind of budget. I wish.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of The Game Plan. I'm Anthony.
I am Daddy. This is part 2 of our New York game plan. Our brainstorming of ideas and things that we're aiming to do when we go to New York City to see the Milwaukee Brewers, our favorite baseball team, play as part of our 30-city journey of seeing our Milwaukee Brewers. There's a lot more to do than sports in that town, isn't there?
Yeah, and you can tell we're Brewers fans because he's got the 2018
Defend NKE Division Champion shirt.
And I've got the 2020 Spring Training, and you can see it's a beer mug, of course, because
he doesn't drink beer because it's a mommy-daddy drink, so don't get any thoughts. But we've got a lot to show you of fun stuff to do that we want to do when we go. And what's this episode?
The top 5 non-Manhattan things to do, because it's not just Manhattan.
Exactly.
You probably think it's Manhattan, but it's not.
It's a 5-borough city in New York, and there's stuff to do in the boroughs. There's stuff to do literally on the water.
Yes.
In New York City, and that actually is involving 3 of your top 5 picks. Mm-hmm. Your number 1 is a walk over the water.
The Brooklyn Bridge.
The Brooklyn Bridge.
It's the Brooklyn Bridge. What can we say? You might say, well, part of it is in Manhattan. Well, there are technically... Are there really borderlines over the water?
Technically, yes. But it's still on the water. And the cool thing is the opportunity to walk that bridge.
Yes.
And it takes a while to do it.
It does.
I mean...
Especially if you're just looking at New York.
Oh, look at that skyscraper. Gotta take a pic of that. Oh, look at that over there on the water. Gotta take a pic of that. You're gonna take forever on this thing.
Yeah, Chrysler Building, One World Trade Center, Empire State Building, all the places.
Exactly. You are going to want to take your time when experiencing that. You're going to be one of hundreds of tourists while the locals speed past you as they walk back and forth or take bikes or whatever.
They're not going to be speeding past you on the road, though.
No. It's a pretty traffic-laden. We are full of sound effects today here on Sorgy Sword, but that's very descriptive.
I've got sugary cranberry.
That's getting him.
I'm good.
That's getting him through all these tapings. Number 2 stays with the water theme. It is not on Manhattan again. It is in Brooklyn, and it is right on the ocean. It is
Coney Island Beach. It is a 3-mile beach, extending all the way to the southwest tip of Brooklyn. That sounds really cool, and you can see the sunrise and sunset.
If you get there early enough and you stay all day and stay until the end of the day, it's a beautiful sight. It is just a fantastic sight. Yeah. They got a bunch, check it out, concerts and movie nights. They've got a really crazy and weird mermaid parade.
That sounds weird.
Yeah. But the cool part too, we talked about this in our last episode, our New York sports episode, our top 5 things to do somewhere here. Going to a Brooklyn Cyclones game. You can spend all day at the beach, return all your beach stuff into the car, switch into your baseball stuff, and go see the single A minor league team of the New York Yankees, right smack dab there. Your number 3 actually has a lot of personal meaning for our family. It's again right on the water in New York Harbor.
Ellis Island, and it has the Ellis Island National Museum of Immigration.
That means so much to our family because half of your relatives, their ancestors came through it.
Yes, they went right into that Ellis Island area and saw my next place. Not my next place, second to next place.
Right, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yes.
But this was the place where so many European immigrants from all over the world came in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, and became American citizens, began the process to become American citizens, where they gave up their way of life in their old homeland and enter the United States and built the opportunity to be able to build a new life and have greater opportunity here in America.
Yes.
And that's why it means so much. My ancestors went through there in literally the year 1900. They took boats from Italy, and those boats landed right at Ellis Island, where they went through the immigration process and became American citizens.
I might have to check Mommy's side of the family, because I know that their first settlement was right across the river from New York, so we will have to check on that.
Yeah, I think that was way before Ellis Island was a thing.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they were even here right around the time of the Revolution.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but your Italian side all came through Ellis Island. Your number 4, we are bumping across to Queens.
What?
Maybe about a mile away from Citi Field, where we'd see the New York Mets play our Milwaukee Brewers. And you would be checking out a part of the 1964 World's Fair. It is
the New York Hall of Science. There's one reason I want to go there.
and it's not even because of science, it's because of
a mini golf course that has a
bunch of rockets right next to it. I mean, check out the rockets that are there.
They have NASA rockets from the first 2 manned space programs,
Mercury and Gemini,
and the rocket engine from the Saturn V moon rocket.
the old Saturn V's that launched Americans to the moon. And you can play mini golf around that.
That's so cool.
That is what is amazing about that place. They even have a capsule, a replica of the first spacecraft, the Friendship 7 from the Mercury program. That was the first capsule to hold an American astronaut to go into space in 1961.
Wow.
Alan Shepard went into that. They got a few other things too that are pretty fun.
Search for life beyond Earth, just like Mars and all that kind of life. Which actually, as we're filming this, Mars has a rover on there that's doing exactly that.
Yeah, it's also said that your mommy, my wife, sometimes thinks that I came from another planet, but that's a whole other story. You've got one more coming that may be the most recognizable piece of New York of anything.
That's all I can say. It is the Statue of Liberty National Monument. Well, you all know it as Lady Liberty. What can we say? I don't know.
It's the thing that when all those immigrants came from Italy, Ireland, Germany, Poland,
France,
Spain,
Portugal,
every part of Europe, and they traveled to the United States, it's one of the things that they saw that gave them hope.
Yes.
Because it was about freedom, democracy, things that we're trying to protect today.
Yes.
That symbolism has meant so much to so many people in so many different ways.
Yes.
That's why it means so much to our entire country. And the chance to go and see that up close.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Just wow. And bonus, you got to take a ferry from Manhattan to get there. And the ferry trip gives you a chance to get some amazing views.
Yes, yes. And it was if you don't know, it was a gift from France to the U.S. We're still allies with them today.
Still friends, absolutely. It is so worth checking out.
Yes.
Now come my 5 top non-Manhattan things to do when you go to New York City. One of them is up in the Bronx. It's something that sometimes you might be able to find on television late on Saturday nights. I'd have to check, but when I was growing up as a kid, after Saturday Night Live, NBC would show this show from one of the most famous theaters in the world at the Apollo Theater. It's called Showtime at the Apollo. Which was this talent show as well as this chance for some of the top R&B and pop artists to perform in this historic theater. Maybe the most important theater in the world when it comes to the genres of jazz, swing, bebop, R&B, gospel, blues, and soul music.
Listen to all these artists.
Who played this since 1914, by the way.
Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, James Brown, Gladys Knight, Luther Vandross. If you ever heard the March Madness theme.
The ball is tipped, and there you... I'll stop.
Yeah.
D'Angelo, Lauryn Hill, Sarah Vaughan, Sammy Davis Jr. B.B. King has one of the great blues albums of all time when he recorded at the Apollo Theater. Oh man, I would love to check out a show at this place. My number 2 is just a few feet away from where your number 4 pick was with the New York Hall of Science. It is another museum in the complex that was built for the 1939 World's Fair, where they also held it in 1964, but this was built for 1939. It is the Queens Museum. It is the museum of the borough of Queens. To tell you how historic this place is, from 1946 to 1950, it housed the United Nations.
Like the entire worldwide or just the U.S. portion?
The entire world. They met in that building.
Now that's historic.
Before they built the United Nations building, which is in Manhattan now.
Oh, I thought it was somewhere in Europe, because usually they meet somewhere around.
No, the UN's in New York.
Oh, okay.
Now they also in this place, which I find just amazingly cool, they have a 10,000 square foot model
I didn't know
of
about
all
this.
5 boroughs of New York City.
Oh my gosh, we need to switch Hall of Science.
I showed you this. You had a chance to pick it.
I was like, but he can take it. It's fine.
It's okay. But that is so much what I want to check out, along with what they have with the World's Fair collection from 1964. They've got a big architectural collection. I'm a big architecture fan.
Same.
And if you're a fan of Tiffany glass, which is maybe the best in the world, it is the world's most well-known, like super Mongo expensive glass company. Like some of the glass pieces they make are worth the value of this house. And they got some of it at this museum in Queens. My number 3 goes back to the waters of New York Harbor. And it's one of the most fun traditions, and it's also the least expensive of the fun traditions of anything to do in New York. Take the Staten Island Ferry. You just take it just to enjoy a fun boat ride.
That's cool.
From Manhattan to Staten Island.
And back.
Exactly. You just take a round trip. You just get off. You come right back on. And you just sail right back on to Manhattan and Battery Park.
That's cool.
The cool parts about it, the views you get.
Oh, Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island.
One World Trade Center Tower and that entire complex of downtown Manhattan. Just picturesque on a beautiful sunny day. One of the also cool things that not a lot of people think about, and you'll find this with the New York subways as well, but especially with the ferry, check out the live music that you find with some of the street musicians who perform there. It is sometimes as good as you'll find, because you have so many great musicians who want to go to New York City to try and get discovered, play the clubs there, and get a record contract. This is where they make their living while they work on their craft. So many just take tips, and sometimes they are so good, you just want to sit there and take in a 2-hour concert from them. Dump $25 in their tip jar and just taking a great day of music.
Yeah.
It is so good just to experience that you may miss a subway, and it's worth it. And that's okay. But that's all part of the Staten Island Ferry experience. My number 4. Speaking of music, we're going to take a trip a little bit south from New York City to Asbury Park, New Jersey, and go to a music club that is one of the most historic in the world, the Stone Pony. It is right on the beach of Asbury Park, where a lot of New Yorkers go to get away for the day and just have a beach day.
Okay.
And then you go to this place and check out who played there and who made himself one of the great rock artists of all time.
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen. As in like Born to Run, Born in the USA, Glory Days. Some of the greatest rock songs of the 70s all the way until today, and he is still so relevant today with his music. He played at that club in his formative years.
Wow.
There are what are called bootleg tapes and bootleg, now digital recordings of some of his early shows there that people just would record. Some called some of the greatest rock concerts you'll ever hear.
Wow.
Because it was just unhinged, incredible rock and roll music. My number 5 ends at the same place where we had your number 4 and my number 2 picks, all part of Corona Park and the 1964 World's Fair site. It is called the Unisphere, We've taken a picture in Chicago right by this really cool globe. Right by the Willis Tower. We call it the Sears Tower.
I call it the Willis. He calls it the Sears.
Imagine a globe like that is 40 yards across.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine trying to, it's like so big, you couldn't kick a field goal over it.
I know that MLB, they did like an MLB rebrand thing, and they had the Mets logo being like a big globe that might have been that.
That globe is so iconic. Maybe the most famous thing outside of the Statue of Liberty, outside of Manhattan, of anything that's in New York.
Or one of the 10 million apples that are on the street.
Yes, exactly. But this is a place to take a picture and just see something cool. You like your Instagramming? That's a spot to go to. By far. And again, it's within long walking distance, but walking distance, to go see the Brewers play the New York Mets. That's a place to make a day out of as well. If you want to see these great sights in Queens and then head up to Citi Field and see the Brewers take on the New York Mets. Coming up next, we got to fill bellies if we're taking on all these fun trips all around New York City. What's coming next?
After the inning, when we come back, you'll have the restaurants of Now Manhattan. And no, there is not another part to this video. You'll have to watch, and you'll have to just go on the New York playlist, and then you can find it.
Okay, Mr. Uecker. To do that, how do you get the notification that this next video is coming live?
Like, share with the little triangle thingy, subscribe, that's the YouTube logo, and then you gotta hit that bell, ding, ding, ding,
ding, ding.
Turn on all post notifications, because then you can see all of our videos.
Exactly.
And you also have to listen to Brewers Baseball on the Brewers Radio Network. Presented by Sorgy Sword.
If we had that kind of budget. I wish. For little buddy, I'm Daddy.
So long from Sorgy Story Studios in Milwaukee, folks. See ya.